I think women have a very unique relationship to food. And I know because I've been on both sides of the equation that we use our relationship with food to either destroy or create our lives. And I'm more focused on how we can create our lives with food and destroy it less. And so, um, what I want to share on the Tele Summit is really about how we can use our relationship with food to empower our lives and how we can really sink into our own divine feminine power to guide that relationship with food. And I have this really interesting speaking topic that I do called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. And takes me back to the song. I want to say it was Black Uhuru. It's a reggae song from the 80s. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? Natty Dreadlocks. And I used to love that song. I used to sing it all the time throughout the house. But in truth, relating it to women and our relationship with food, we have dinner guests all the time. And I'm not talking about, you know, when we have a dinner party, because I know I love to cook. I love to have dinner parties and have people over. And even if you don't like to cook, like, just liking to entertain and have people over and serve food and have wine and that sort of thing. So at those dinner parties, we are very specific. We pick a menu, and the menu is usually something, really exotic and really nice and just sort of capturing the theme of the evening. And, we pick drinks to go along with that menu, and then we set our table really beautiful, and we have place cards for the guests that we specifically chose that we want to be there. And I mean, we choose our guests in a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's just because this person really contributes interesting conversation, and this person, we just met them and we want to get to know more about them. So there's all these reasons why we choose. But for whatever reason, we choose those guests specifically because we want them there. Correct? Correct. However, what a lot of women are unaware of is that they bring dinner guests to their table all the time. And I'm not talking about the dinner party guests. I'm talking about the dinner, the meal that we have when we have breakfast, when we have lunch, when we have dinner, when we have our snack. And the two guests that are most often present in women's lives are shame and guilt. Those two guests. Yeah, they show up at our dinner table a lot. And oftentimes it's unconscious, like we don't even know that we invited shame and guilt to the dinner table until after we finish our meal. We're wondering why, we feel bad about ourselves or why we're putting ourselves down. We're like, oh, I shouldn't have eaten that. I'm going to get fat and, having indigestion problems and feeling bloated and then not really enjoying our meal, like eating meals that don't serve us. Because here's the deal. Shame and guilt have no table manners. They have what we call in Jamaica no bratupsi, right? They come to your dinner table and they literally interrupt the entire meal. They're rude. They belch out loud. They tell you your food is disgusting. They say you look like a slob while you're eating it. I mean, all these things. And yet we do it time and time and time and time again. Every time we eat, we show for those two dinner guests. So what if every time we had a meal and we invited our guests to the table, we showed up with satisfaction? We showed up with happiness. We showed up with mindfulness. We showed up with creativity. What if we brought those dinner guests to the table? I mean, imagine how much more enjoyable the dining experience would be. Like when you set your table, as a matter of fact, before you even set your table, when you go into the kitchen and create your meal, you're not creating it with whatever diet, fat, low calorie, no sugar, no fat, this, that, and the third, which is going to create, in my opinion, a very bland meal. You're cooking from your core right here. You're cooking from the core because that dinner guest, the core dinner guest, says, you know what? Today I could really use some extra protein and some green vegetables, because I had a really hard day and I just feel like I need to rebuild and re-energize and re-strengthen. So now you start cooking meals that are in honor of your body and not in honor of your logical mind that is saying, well, I need to lose X amount of pounds, so therefore I'm going to have a no-fat diet, or, well, I ate really, really horribly, so, I need to balance it out and go to the other side of the equation and just drink water for the rest of the week. What? Who are those guests? That's not who we want. And then when you sit down with your meal that your core created, now you can enjoy it. So satisfaction shows it to the table, and you can like marvel in your own creativity, because creativity is present as well. And you can be happy about who you are when you eat, because mindfulness is at the table and you're not distracted. You're not watching TV. You're not managing the other project that you need to get done, sending an email, tweeting. No, it's just you and your food and your ability to be present, because you brought the dinner guests that matter, the dinner guests that make your life more enjoyable. And here's the deal. Here's where it all comes together really nicely. When you start choosing dinner guests that are appropriate for your body, for your meals, for your dining experience, then those dinner guests start to invite themselves over into other areas of your relationship. Because the dinner guests are just code for those other parts of ourselves that we make very present and give a lot of attention to in our lives. And I like to say, Goddess Leonie, that how you show up to the table is how you show up in life. It is true. Whoever you are when you're eating is the same person that you are when you're with your mate. It's the same person that you are when you're with your career, at your job, with your clients. It's the same person that you are when you're with your family, when you're playing with your children, when you're talking to your parents. It's the same person you are when you're out in public and you're socializing and you're with your friends and you're trying to have a good time. If you have shame and guilt, those two dinner guests, I guarantee you that when you're with your mate, you're not going to be able to open up the way you want to. You're not going to be able to enjoy the act of lovemaking, because you feel guilt and shame around your body, because you feel guilt and shame around your innermost thoughts, and you don't want your partner to judge you. It's going to show up with your clients. You're not going to be able to authentic and radically express yourself with them, or be open and honest and give your business, your clients, your job what it needs, because you're worried about shame and guilt. Same thing with your children, same thing with your friends, same thing with your family. When you start showing up to the table with dinner guest satisfaction, happiness, creativity, mindfulness, those trickle down into other relationships. Again, as the food relationship coach, I'm not just talking about food, I'm talking about all of the relationships that we bring to the table. So now, when you're with your mate, you can get creative in the bedroom. You can be mindful about his needs and your needs, or whoever your partner's needs are, and being able to fuse that into your being so that the relationship is more delicious. You can be happy with your job experience, or with your clients, or with, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're trying to build, from the floor up, you can feel satisfaction in that movement and that back and forth, because it is you give, you get, you give, you get, you give, you get. And the same thing with your children and these other relationships. And that's the importance of really paying attention to who's coming to dinner. This is not just this sort of like, oh, well, yeah, that'll be cool. I guess I can kind of check in. No, 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 no. I really want you to check in with who you're bringing to dinner. Because when you bring dinner guests that matter, that are important to your personal evolution and your journey, then you get to show up and be so much bigger, so much brighter, so much more of an influence, so much more loving, so much more in your own divine femininity. Then you'll see your relationships flourish. Then you'll see your relationships bloom. Then you'll see your body change. So many women struggle with emotional eating and binge eating and anorexia and different eating disorders, with not being satisfied with their bodies or with relationships in their lives. And I guarantee you, your body takes the shape and the pattern of what you think about it. So if you think that your body is something to be ashamed of, to be guilty of, or to hate, then your body looks like hate, it looks like shame, it looks like guilt. But when you begin to think that your body, your worth are all aligned, and you start inviting dinner guests such as happiness, such as joy, such as mindfulness, such as creativity to the table, I guarantee you, you will not want to stop eating your life. It'll be so delicious. Goddess Leonie, thank you so much for your time. That is what I want to talk about on the world's biggest Tele Summit. I cannot wait to share with your tribe and my tribe, and I look forward to telling my tribe about this, because I know that women need to hear and learn and understand about the connection between their food and their relationships and ultimately how it affects their lives.